Hi friends, welcome to Healing Place Cottage. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Kim. I'm so happy to have you with me today. Today we're going to make my probably all-time favorite go-to meal. That's why we don't have a menu board up here for me to follow the directions for the recipe, because I know this recipe by heart. It's homemade tacos. And you may be thinking, but Kim, homemade tacos are pretty simple. And they are. But I'm going to make them anyway. I'm going to show you how I make them, and maybe you'll learn something along the way. So we're going to start by browning. I use ground sirloin, and that's what I got the calorie count for on this recipe. I'm not going to use the whole package. I'm going to use about that much. I think I don't need a lot of meat on my tacos. I think that will probably make 4 tacos for me, which will be 2 meals. So we're going to go ahead and cut up some onion. Oh, no garbage bowl because I was making homemade bread. And I have been watching. I told you in a previous video that I'm making homemade sourdough bread. And I have been watching when I eat it to see if it spikes my blood sugar, and it has not. Of course, I'm not eating a huge amount at a time. I think at breakfast this morning I had a slice, and last night I had a slice with Simply Fruit jam, raspberry jam. We'll just give these a chop. I put my onions in with my hamburger. I love raw onion, but typically the people I'm eating with don't. So this way it's cooked and everybody's happy. We will go ahead and slice up some tomato. I went ahead and bought already shredded cheese. And already shredded lettuce. I actually already had shredded cheese, but I did buy the shredded lettuce when I stopped to get the ground sirloin. And I asked for a half a pound and he gave me a pound. I shouldn't say gave me a pound. They charged me, but I don't think he heard me say a half a pound. So I will use that other half a pound probably for something like spaghetti, if I determine that spaghetti is not going to be outside of the range that we're looking to be in for carbohydrates. So what I do that may be different for you with tacos is that I fry my own shells. So I get corn tortillas and I fry my own shells. I also have carb counter tacos street taco flour tortillas that I got at Sam's Club. So let me tell you a little bit about what this recipe looks like as far as nutritional value. Let me stir this up a little bit, or chop this up a little bit. Get that going. So from a nutritional perspective, the tortillas that I'm going to use, so 2 corn tortillas. I have white corn tortillas, taco size. that those are 21 grams of carbs. So there are 21 grams of carbohydrates, 100 calories, 2 grams of protein, and 2 grams of fiber. Now, with these taco shells for one tortilla, so remember this was for 2 tortillas and this is for 1 tortilla. There are only 20 calories in one of these flour tortillas. These are the Carb Counter Street Taco, but they're similar in size. They're a little bit smaller than the corn tortilla, but they're not a lot smaller. And they have 5 grams of carbohydrates. So far lower, you would have 10 grams of carbohydrates in 2 and 40 calories. They also have 5 grams of dietary fiber. So you basically bring your carb count, your net carb count down to 0 because of the fiber count. They also have 2 grams of protein. So if you like flour tortillas, you absolutely can fry your flour tortillas, or you can heat them up. I put them in tin foil and put them in the oven on low and let those warm up. You can wrap them in a paper towel and put them in the microwave and get them softer. Doesn't take long if you do them in the microwave. I'd say 12 seconds is probably all you need. So that's an option for you, but I think it is an absolute treat to have homemade fried taco shells. When I lived in California, that was one of the things that I enjoyed most. I learned how to make my own shells there, and while I don't do that aspect, I do like to fry my shells. Forgot that I have this handy little, if you don't have one of these choppers, it's the best thing for ground meat. You can find one on Amazon. You can find them on with Pampered Chef. They have one. I don't like the one with Pampered Chef to clean. I have one of those, and there are more, I don't know what you call these. There are more of these grooves, and it makes it harder to clean in between. This one works just as well, and it's much easier to clean. So my recommendation would be to look at your local store or check Amazon to see if they have one of these available. But it makes it much easier to work with ground meat. Another thing that I was going to suggest is we could use ground turkey breast for this and bring our calorie count and our fat count down even further. So I'm using ground sirloin. It's a very lean beef, but that has 207 calories in 3 ounces. 23 grams of protein, so great on the protein and great on the carbs, 0 carbs. But you could absolutely use ground turkey breast or ground chicken breast, whatever you prefer. I'm going to grab my seasoning really quick. I buy my seasoning packets at Sam's Club by the box, and as you can see, I think I mentioned the other day that I'm notorious for opening a package the wrong way, and I opened that one from the bottom. So one thing you'll learn about me is what you see is what you get. Now you're all beating a path to come live with me, aren't you? Because you want to have your cereal boxes opened from the wrong end. I'm kidding. I just don't personally think it matters all that much at the end of the day. But I know there are people that really matters to. I just don't happen to be one of them. So I think we are getting very good on the heat for our taco shells. And when I have everything out to make my tacos, since this looks like it'll be about 4 tacos for me, and I know I will eat 2 tacos at a time, and test my oil. Not quite there. Close. But since I know that I eat 2 at a time, I go ahead and cook all of my taco shells so that all I have to do is heat them up tomorrow when I have the leftovers. My son always liked his flat, and he would eat more of a tostada than a taco. He would melt his cheese and on his meat, and that would be his preferred way of eating his. He's a quesadilla guy. Always has loved quesadillas. When other kids were taking cupcakes to school for their birthdays, my son took an electric skillet and made quesadillas for everyone. So I think our oil is probably ready now. It's still a little shy. You want to see how it's bubbling. I don't know if you can see that, but if you can see, you want it to start to bubble, and that's how you know that you have the heat up high enough. So what I do is I put it in once, flip it over to get oil on both sides, and then I fold it over and I use a spoon to push down because it's going to try and float. So I use a spoon to push down. It's going to try and rise to the top. Gracious, my tongs aren't working. I use a spoon to push down on that. And since my tongs are wanting to break my tortilla, I'm going to go ahead and turn that so that I can get that other side crisper, or at least chewy. And you can make these as crisp or as chewy as you would like. I like mine pretty crisp. I used to like them chewier, but I like them now. I like them pretty crisp. And you can, the thing I like about these as well is you can make them wide. So my oil is definitely not as hot as I would like it. It's going to get it done, but it's going to take just a hair longer than I like. I told you before that I'm a pretty fast cook, and I like things to get done very, very quickly. I'm going to turn the heat up just a hair. I may have it down too low. I'm still learning this 2-burner concoction here, but it really does come in handy. And I look forward to entertaining sometime with it, and we'll be able to have things going more than just the 4 burners I have on the stove. I'm going to let that go like that for just a second. So I have the water for my taco seasoning. My ground beef is done. My onions are starting to turn translucent. So we'll go ahead and add our seasoning. And since I'm not using a full pound, I probably won't use the whole seasoning packet. But that's because, as you know, I don't like things very spicy. This is mild, but it'll still be strong. So I like to mix that up a little bit and then add my water. Get that all mixed in. Actually, it looks like I could use the whole seasoning packet. So what have you been cooking this week? Tell me in the comments. Today is my Friday. I work 4/10, so it's Thursday for me. And this makes a really great go-to Friday meal for me. I'm usually pretty tired by the time the week ends. I have that flipped over. And once you get to this point, once it gets crisper, it isn't trying to float to the top in the same way. You can maneuver it back and forth. You don't have to use your spoon. You can maneuver it back and forth in the oil to get that thoroughly cooked. These are white corn tortilla shells, but you'll see a little bit of browning once this gets to the right temperature and right doneness. You'll see a little bit of brown on it. That's how you know you're thoroughly done. Right now it would be, you could pull it out, it would be a little bit chewy. And if you like your taco shells chewy, they fall apart less than they do than when the shells are super crispy. You can also tap it like that to see how it sounds, to check. I think we're about done. We've got some browning happening. So you want to be careful and drain those thoroughly. And then I just fold a paper towel on the counter, and I don't know if you can see this, but I turn the shell over like this and rest it on the paper towel so that the grease can come off, whatever grease is left can come off of there. Do our second one. So what do you like on your tacos? I mentioned in one of my videos that I split my time between Dayton and Cleveland. And so when I'm driving to Cleveland on 71 at exit 165, there's this little restaurant attached to a gas station called Taco John's, and it's the equivalent of a Taco Bell except so much better. And not to throw shade on Taco Bell, but it is just a phenomenal taco. The shells are made fresh daily and they're crispier, and the sauce is more like what you would have in a homemade taco. And they have churros, which we can't eat churros now, so I shouldn't tell you about it, but they have churros that you get one and it's long and it's chewier, whereas Taco Bell's Cinetwists are their version of churros, and theirs are crispy and airy. So I like to go through and get one taco on my way up or on my way down. Back to Dayton. And Dayton has a lot of really great taco shops. Victor's Tacos is a good one. I can't think of all the names of the different ones. There's a great little version of there's a restaurant in Troy and also in Inglewood called La Fiesta. and they have a drive-through in Troy, which is in Miami County, and they do tacos there. You can get your shells crispy or soft, and they do great tacos. No tomatoes, but you can get pico on the side. I will not be using salsa on mine. The flavor of the seasoning on the tacos and the tomatoes is enough for me. So I don't know if I finished telling you about our carbs and our calories for this recipe. So as we mentioned, we have 21 grams of carbs for our 2 taco shells. We have 0 carbs, that's 0 carbs in our beef, 1 gram of carbs in our sour cream, and 1 gram of carbs in our cheese. I didn't put the tomato, lettuce, and onion because it's so minimal. I don't think that our carbs and our calories are that much. I think it would bring us up to the next level as far as there's a total of 477 calories in 2 tacos. I think we could say that we are at 500 with our tomato, lettuce, and onion. But so we're at 23 grams of carbs, 2 grams of fiber, 32 grams of protein, and 477 or 500 calories for 2 tacos. And 2 tacos are very filling to me. So I think that's not a bad treat meal. It's more calories than what we've been cooking. But if you went with, a lot of the calories for me are in the beef. If you went with a ground chicken or a ground turkey, you probably would have fewer calories. Looks beautiful. So I'm only going to make the 2 tacos for tonight, but I will come back in here after I turn the video off, and I will make 2 more shells. So I bought, as I said, the shredded lettuce. With the cost of a head of lettuce now, I don't think it's that much more expensive to buy the pre-shredded lettuce, and I appreciate it, especially on my Friday. So we can add 1.5 ounces. I'm sure that that's not quite 1.5 ounces, but you can, our calorie counts, our nutrition facts are for up to 1.5 ounces per taco. So add my lettuce, add my tomato, I like to use shredded Colby and Monterey Jack. I know a lot of people like just plain cheddar. And that's not nearly as much. Our cheese is 1/3 of a cup, so that's not even close to 2 tacos worth being 1/3 of the cup. I would add sour cream, but I'm out of room, and the sour cream is an additional 60 calories, and I probably don't need that. So we would have 2 tacos, 500 calories or less, because I'm not using sour cream, and I think it's an awesome meal. And I hope that you do too. Whether you use store-bought shells, whether you fry your own corn tortillas, or whether you use the carb counter flour tortillas to make your to make your tacos. I hope that you enjoy them and that you find them as delicious and as great of a end of a week meal as I do. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. It helps others find me when they search for diabetic friendly or low carb recipes. And I look forward to talking to you again and cooking with you again soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.